Folks, good evening. We're going to call the meeting to order. The North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District Board of Education meeting on Tuesday, March 24th, 2026 is now called to order. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10-4-6, adequate notice giving the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting has been posted at the North Hunterdon High School and Voorhees High School, provided to the municipal clerks of Bethlehem Township, California Borough, Town of Clinton, Clinton Township, Franklin Township, Glen Gardner Borough, Hampton Borough, Highbridge Borough, Lebanon Township, Tewksbury Township, and Union Township, as well as other interested parties, and posted on the legal notices section of the district website. Fire exits are located in the direction indicated. If alerted to fire, please move in a calm and orderly fashion to the nearest smoke-free exit. Restrooms are located through the doors behind this desk and to the right as indicated. At this time, please silence all cell phones. I also just wanted to read the district mission statement. The North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District empowers all students through innovative and personalized learning to achieve their full potential, embrace lifelong learning, and contribute responsibly to a changing world. Roll call.
Ms. Ayers? Here. Mr. Chapman?
Here.
Mr. Henley?
Here.
Ms. Hintz? Here. Mr. Lordy?
Here.
Mr. Matthews?
Here.
Ms. Mezzacampa? Here. Mr. Morgan?
Here.
Ms. Reyes? Here. Mr. Stanton?
Here.
Ms. Stein?
Here.
And Mr. McIsaac?
Here. If you could stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Can I get a call for a motion and second to approve agenda items 4.1 and 4.2, our minutes from the last two meetings? Could I get that motion?
Motion.
Rich, thank you. Second. I saw Andrew first. Sorry, Brian. All in favor? Aye. Opposed or abstentions?
I have to abstain from the first meeting.
February 17th.
Yes, thank you.
At this time, we would like to recognize our student achievements. So I'll hand that over to Dr. Burgess and the principals.
Dr. Bachelor, Mr. Peterson.
First time we get to do this together. Just stand in the line right there.
All right, so today we're very proud to be recognizing the North Hunterdon-Voorhees ice hockey team for their outstanding season. This year the team won the Skyline Conference, or the Skylands Division Championship, finished as runners-up in the Skyline Cup, won the sectional championship,
and advanced to the group runner-up spot, ending the season with an impressive 19-7 record. It was a pleasure getting to watch them play at the Prudential Center for a team that just 3 years ago formed. You know, this newly formed program had only 3 wins in its first year and struggled to find structure as a group, but through its hard work and shared commitment to each other, they developed a strong, successful team. I am a huge hockey fan, so when the district decided to say yes to this group and having a district-wide hockey team, it's been a pleasure watching you guys play over the 3 years. So I got to tell you, the first game that they had, I couldn't believe how physical the game was for your guys' age and everything else. I'm like, man, I love this. So it was great. Although I gotta ask you guys a question. Your team song was "Against All Odds."
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, whatever works, fellas. But by Phil Collins. But it was a perfect reflection on their determination and their journey over the past 3 years. And we wish you all the best in the future with what you do. And we look forward to seeing the team continue to grow in the years to come. I'll hand it over to Dr.
Maybe hand it down. Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, I want to reiterate what a pleasure it's been to see this team grow throughout the years, and to really just acknowledge, I think we have some great young players here who really represented us well and represents the school well, represented our district well as it's been a Northern Voorhees team. So real proud of these guys. So I want to recognize, we're doing tonight our seniors and team captains is who we invited to be here. So Joshua Kelko is a team captain. He plays center and he plans to major in environmental science. We also have Jonah Spagnuolo, who is an assistant captain and is also a goalie. He will be attending Lebanon College and plans to study environmental science and play lacrosse. So, Jonah. Dominic Mouchon is an assistant captain. He plays center and he is considering dentistry, and he also plays on our golf team. Is he playing golf right now? Okay, yes. All right. Liam Orban is a wing, and he is thinking of studying biology and dentistry. Okay. There we go. Logan Constellate is a goalie, and he will actually be playing junior hockey next year for the NAHL. And Chase Dreyer is a wing, and he will be joining the local 475 Steam Fitters Union and plans to be a welder. So again, our seniors and captains of our hockey team. So gentlemen, we're going to take a photo in front of the, you could face me with your backs to the, there we go. I'll grab this, I got it in the back. If we can open up our folders with your names in the right direction.
Yes, parents, feel free to take all the pictures.
All right, so if you can look at me first, and then we'll get mom and dad up here if they want to grab a photo. Okay, ready? Perfect. All right, now, there we go. Every time we can do a firing line here. Thank you.
Gentlemen, before you leave, I just wanted to say congratulations. I know when I first stepped onto this board a couple of years ago, it was the first time you were having a chance to be recognized as a team, as a joint team between the two schools, and I realized that came on a lot of petitioning and hard work on the part of your parents and families who wanted to see this program realized here. I'm going to get in trouble with what I'm going to say next. As an employee of Hunterdon Central, probably your biggest competitor, I heard from that coaching staff just what a great group of players that you were, and over the years how you've become sort of a formidable force very quickly in the county. I know my daughter has gone to a number of your games this year, and it sounds like it is just sheer excitement, and she comes back talking about it every time. So once again, I just want to say congratulations, well done, well deserved. Mr. Lordy, any thoughts as a hockey fan?
Hell of a run by those boys. Hell of a run. Thank you.
Have a good night, folks.
Good night.
Congratulations. Thank you. We now have our board student representatives report. Max and Samantha, I can't remember who went first last time.
Well, he wasn't here last time.
Oh, okay, so we should let him go first. Okay. All right, Max, you're on.
So the first thing I'm going to talk about from this month, it was a very busy month, is our sports. So we already heard of the amazing victory on our joint hockey team. Spring sports have also recently begun, not much to report there yet, but I see a strong season ahead for all of our sports. Some final updates on the winter sports. We had 2 girls from our girls wrestling team make it to states, with Stella Fragiolo placing 6th. And we also had 4 girls on our girls fencing team qualify for individual state championships, with one of them placing 6th in foil. The next thing we're going to talk about is music. We've had a lot to talk about this month and a lot coming up. If you do hear my name, I promise I'm not bragging. This is just the report I have written up. So as many of you know, Shrek recently performed at the beginning of this month. I do want to thank all the board members that came, emailed me or said hi to me, or even if I didn't see you, I do appreciate as many of you that attended. And I will say that we had a very successful run of the show. We had packed audiences, all 4 performances, with our final show on Sunday being sold out. The Shrek cast recently performed at 2 performing arts conferences this past Friday and Monday, where we took home many awards. At the Music Mountain Theater Dramatic Performing Arts Conference, the following awards were presented. Jordan Wolfe won an award for Best Ensemble Member. Savannah Wrigley won an award for Outstanding Sidekick. Kat Wolfe was awarded a superlative for her role as Lord Farquaad. Gianna Marina was awarded the Animation to Life Acting Award as Fiona. Gianna and her showcase of Morning Person with all of our ensemble members won first place out of over a dozen showcases. Max Sklar won the title of All-Star Performer in their performance of Shrek, as well as Best Actor of the conference. And finally, North received the award for Best Production out of all the high schools presented. Yesterday, we performed at Bucks County Student Performing Arts Festival, and awards were given out to Kat Wolfe, Gianna Marina, and Max Sklar for all of their performances at the festival, and the cast of Shrek also won an award for their fantastic ensemble. Our jazz ensemble attended the 14th Annual Jazz Band Semifinal Showcase at the Steel Stacks, where they received a Silver Excellent rating. Coming up, we have the Prism Concert. The music department is hosting their 22nd annual Prism Concert this Thursday at 8 p.m. This is the biggest and most anticipated concert of the entire year, where the entire department collaborates in putting on a fantastic performance to showcase the talents of all our musicians using professional sound and lighting systems. Our marching bands, last week our Golden Lions marching band, to which I'm also part of, marched down Main Street in Clinton to celebrate the St. Patrick's Day Parade. And finally, the last thing in music, we have our Representing recital coming up. So the Tri-M Music Honor Society is hosting its 3rd annual Representing recital on March 31st at 5:30. This recital celebrates both Black History Month and Women's History Month, honoring musicians of both those communities. This year, Tri-M is also partnering with the NAACP to bring further engagement and awareness to this event. Moving on, we've had a lot of activities this month as well. Spike for Cures, our school-wide volleyball competition. I would first like to say that our teacher team had to play their way to the finals this year since they were beaten out by a junior team last year. The teachers were unfortunately eliminated in round 2. And the same team from last year, now seniors, took home the championship title once again. This event's purpose was to raise money and awareness for the Jason P. Scheibel Foundation, and it successfully raised over $25,000 for that foundation. The Trivia Bowl was hosted by the National Honor Society at the beginning of this month. It was restructured this year, where students could create their own teams of 2 to 5 people, and any team was allowed to participate. There was a science teacher team and a history/math teacher team that also competed, but unfortunately lost to a senior team. The winning team was awarded the highest costing basket, which was about $990 worth of gift cards from restaurants in the area. I'm also proud to report that I was on that winning team. The purpose of this
Max,
event,
that sounded like bragging.
I'm happy for my team members. The purpose of this event was to raise money for the St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and the National Honor Society collected over $4,500 from various sponsor donations and people in attendance. The National Honor Society also hosted our 2nd blood drive of this school year. With the recent cold and wintry weather, there's been a lack of blood donors and blood drives in the area, and North was able to collect 215 pints of blood to assist this problem and save up to 645 lives. And then lastly, we had 2 dances this month. Our junior prom was held on Saturday, March 7th. There were over 240 students in attendance at this dance, which was the highest attendance in the past few years. And we also had our sophomore semi-formal this last Friday with over 130 students in attendance. And the last thing I want to say is a big thank you on behalf of North senior class. I would like to thank the North Hunterdon Education Foundation, the PTSA, Hunterdon County Prevention Resources, Hunterdon Health Systems, and several generous parent donations for their generosity towards project graduation. Thanks to this support, 5 buses will be provided for the seniors to attend the PTSA-sponsored project graduation night. 92% of transportation costs have been covered, helping reduce the cost of attendance for our seniors and allowing more students to participate. For anyone who doesn't know, Project Graduation Night is a special evening that provides the seniors a fun, adult-supervised, and substance-free environment to celebrate one of the biggest accomplishments of their lives. So on behalf of the senior class, our families, and our community, thank you for their dedication in planning and hosting the celebration that ensures a fun and safe graduation night.
Thank you very much, Max. And I'm sad, I was not able to attend. My daughter did and her friends, and they raved about the performance, so well done, well deserved. I don't know if anybody else was able to attend. I know there was some folks who. Yeah.
I got the dress rehearsal. That was amazing.
Yes.
Okay, all right, see you.
Sorry, I just realized my computer hit 4% and I was time. So I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Oh, well, now I know.
But again, congratulations, Max, and
Yes, congratulations. Max, just one thing, my youngest, begged me to take her up to you and introduce her to you and say how much she enjoyed the performance, so excellent job.
Thanks so much. It was great. Okay, so I also have a lot to talk about. It's been a super duper busy month. So same thing as Max said, spring sports have begun, so there's not a ton to report yet. There's actually a meet outside today with North and Voorhees. Unified flag football, which is one of our spring sports though, did visit the Jets practice stadium last week, and they had a great time learning from the players and the staff, so that was a very cool experience. I also have some things to report about winter sports finishing up. So our boys 4x4 team went to nationals and set school record and placed 16th in the nation. And then we also had our Skyline Conference teams come out. And these are just recognitions from players on all of the sports teams. So the first team was Maddie Petak from girls basketball, Gabriella Lamarca from girls basketball, Cole Dahl from wrestling, Christian Billette from wrestling, and Kyle Beers from boys basketball. Second team was Alex McComb from girls basketball, Johnny DeAndrea from wrestling, Mateo Tramatola from wrestling, and Logan Dearney from boys basketball. And then honorable mentions were Emma Hill, girls basketball, Demos Maroulis, wrestling, and Sam Gallo, boys basketball. For arts, we didn't have as much going on as Max, but we do still have a lot going on. So we had our coffee house performance, which is where our choir students pick a variety of songs for their theme. Their theme this year was Broadway and Beyond. So it was all show tunes, which was very, very cool. And they choreographed dances, and there's lights, and there's snacks. Very, very lovely. So that was on March 6th at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. We also have Into the Woods, which is our spring musical coming up, and that's going to be on April 16th to 19th, and I would love to see all of you there. I am a part of the show. It is going very well. And talking about the show, we also went to Bucks County Theater Festival, but today, I literally got back an hour ago. And so we attend master classes. So there's a dance class, an acting class, and a vocal class. And so all of our students who decide to attend get to go to those classes, and then in the afternoon, they get to perform 2 sections of whatever show we bring. And this year we brought Into the Woods, so we did 2 20-minute sections of Into the Woods, and then there's feedback and awards. So we won 4 awards, one for Best Overall Best Outstanding Ensemble, just as North won as well, and then Joanna McDonald, Mason Chen, and Emily Dennis were also recognized. That's enough about the arts. So academic-wise, we did have our NJ GPA testing last week, and the juniors took the graduation proficiency assessment, and we actually ended up finding out that they don't need as much time as we gave them, and many of them did not have to come to school on some of the days that were left over because they finished the test on the first day, so that will allow time for future exams to be shortened. So when we have testing in May, that will be shorter than originally planned. Clubs, activities, and accomplishments. So outside of Voorhees, if any of you have been there during the school week, there is some very serious construction going on, and it is making it very backed up, but it is getting better, and I'm happy to say that the students have figured out how to get to school on time despite the construction. So that's been a very big accomplishment this month. It was a process. We got there.
Good.
We have our health and wellness fair, which promotes healthy habits amongst the students and how to relieve stress. And that's actually tomorrow, so I'm very excited. They bring food, there's a smoothie station. It's gonna be a good time. Our freshman, sophomore classes hosted a spring formal this year. This is the first time they've done it. They had 110 attendees, which was very, very a big accomplishment for them. And they had a great time. That was last Friday. Unified has been very active this month. They had their Week of Respect at the beginning of the month. Last week they had World Down Syndrome Day. And then this week, on Thursday, they have Epilepsy Awareness Day. And all of these are spirit days where they encourage you to dress in whatever color is appropriate. And it just helps bring the school together about respecting different people with different abilities and creating a respectful culture around the school and in society as a whole. They are also hosting their silent disco next week, which if none of you have been to a silent disco, you put the headphones on and the music is in your headphones, but if you take them off, no one can hear it. So it's just a bunch of people dancing in a room with headphones on. It's actually a lot of fun though. It sounds weird, but I definitely recommend. And it's available to community members. It's April 1st from 6 to 8. Anyone interested should email Rebecca Colangelo for tickets. And that information, I believe, is also on the Facebook. And then my last thing to talk about is Relay for Life. So last year, Voorhees reinvigorated Relay for Life at our school, and we run the Relay for Life of Hunterdon County. It's my club, so I'm going to brag about it a little bit. So during this week, we have started our kickoff week where we're encouraging students and community members to create teams. So every day at lunch, we've hosted a booth with activities. Yesterday, we hosted a booth just talking about Relay. We did trivia questions. Today, we did Minute to Win It to games. And then we have more activities for the rest of the week. What I would really like to see happen this year is to have the board create a team for district employees and just try to get everyone involved because it is a county-wide event. We want to see North there, we want to see Central there. So I encourage you to reach out to community members and to potentially start a team of your own. Our goal this year is to raise $50,000. We would really like to do it. We do get to shave Miss Luckhart, which is one of our teachers' heads, if we do raise $50,000. And we really want to show a united front as a district against cancer. So that would be my encouragement for you all. And if anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to talk about that. The event is on May 29th, and it will be at Voorhees. Yeah, that's what I have. So thank you.
Thank you as well. Max and Samantha, your presentation tonight, I think, is the perfect encapsulation of, I think, everything we aspire to do as a community, and hearing about the success that you have, the achievements from athletics to the performing arts to academics. All of that is the reason we're here, and it's just so great to hear from you and see how this manifests itself in the things that you're sharing with us. So thank you very much for that excellent presentation.
We love the support we've been getting from the board throughout all of our activities. I think when we relay the support that we get at the meetings to the other students, they're always like overwhelmed and so happy to be supported from the highest level. So. And
then on any of those, on any of those items where you're potentially inviting or looking for the board to participate or have a team, send it our way, and we can certainly, coordinate and see who might be available or interested, and just make sure that communication is there. Yeah, as part of the meeting.
Thank you so much.
Any other just comments or thoughts? All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you once again. And good luck down the stretch of the last stretch of senior year.
Almost there.
Yes. All right. And again, Max and Samantha, whenever you need to go, go. We understand you're busy. You learned that lesson. All right. So we're going to shift to our Chief School Administrator's report.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mr. McIsaac. So some of these things are a little bit repeats, but I want to add a little more details to what Max and Sam mentioned. For our juniors taking the NJGPA, we typically do what's called a 2.5-hour delayed bell schedule, which means we have to run 2 different bus runs. Because of we knew it was going to be shorter than what we originally had. We didn't change the amount of days we had, but what we did was we created a 2-hour bell schedule, which is what we use for typical delayed openings, which meant we didn't have to have 2 rounds of transportation, which saved a significant amount of transportation costs. So that was another positive that came out of this, and we're going to continue to refine that as we go through, so that we can shorten the days and hopefully have the 2-hour delays and not have to have the additional transportation. So, and I did want to mention also the Jason P. Shive Memorial Fund. That's been around for a long time now. It's a great fund, and just thank all the people that were involved in Spike for a Cure at North Hunterdon. They put a ton of work into that event. They raised a ton of money, and the actual charitable foundation supports non-medical costs for youth that are going through, for families who have youth that are going through pediatric cancer. And so, the medical expenses sometimes are well covered, but it's getting there, babysitting, helping out with the family, food, all those things that families need support with, and that's what the Jason P. Shivel Memorial Fund does. The North Hunterdon Jazz Ensemble, that was recognized at the showcase in Steel Stacks at Bethlehem. I wanted to add one more piece of that. On top of all of what Max already mentioned, the individual players are now running for the Steel Stacks Jazz All-Star Big Band and Elite Group that will take the stage at Music Fest on August 1st, 2026. So huge congratulations to them, and now they have an opportunity to even showcase their talents even further. And you said a lot about it, Max, but I got to say, Shrek, I only got to come to dress rehearsal, and when I told Max the story, when he came out and did a sound check, I was like, well, he doesn't quite sound like Shrek, but, and then when he came out and actually started doing it, I was like, wow, you really hit it. Everybody did. The entire cast was phenomenal, but you deserve a lot of kudos for that. And when I sat there, that was one of the things that, as you were just mentioning, Brendan, that, the experiences you guys are having here, I sat there in the theater and I'm looking around at all the people and all the things that are happening, right, simultaneously, between the lighting and the sound and all the back behind the scene things. And I thought to myself, wow, what it takes to put on that production is huge. And again, this board, the support from this board to be able to allow that to happen, those students that experience that, that's what matters and that's what counts in this. So congratulations on your performance, and I'm glad we get to do those things here, and I get to enjoy them because it's the best part of my job. I do want to congratulate 3 Voorhees students who were selected to participate in the 2026 Rutgers Honors Band Day on March 22nd. The students were Ava Fraley, Camilla Lescano, and Gavin Caskey. This year, the Rutgers music staff received a record number of nominations with over 350 from 60 different high schools across the state, and students will be playing in one of the 3 wind bands, attending master classes, and performing in their concert hall in the evening. So that's going to be a great experience for those students. The North Dance team was named 3rd place champions in the New Jersey Cheer and Dance State Competition, so congratulations to them. 3 of our North Hunterdon students have been recognized as top artists in the 2026 New Jersey State Bar Foundation's Student Courtroom Artist Competition. That is a mouthful. They were competing against 133 outstanding submissions from across the state. Our students swept multiple top honors, and this is a testament not only to their talent, but to the strength of our arts program as well. Ava Inwegan got 1st place, state champion, North Hunterdon High School, state champion for the State Bar Foundation's art competition. As the 1st place winner, Ava has been invited to represent New Jersey at the National Mock Trial Championships in Des Moines, Iowa, from May 7th to the 9th. The foundation will fully fund travel costs for Ava and one adult chaperone to attend this national event. So it's going to be great that not only did we win the state, but now we get representation on the national stage, which we love. Ivy Sorhedge was placed 3rd place in the state, and then Elizabeth Span got honorable mention as well. So again, congratulations to these students. Basically, they did sketch drawings of the competitions, and then were judged based on their drawing ability. All 3 of those students and their families, along with our art teacher, R.J. Calabrese, are invited to the New Jersey Law Center in New Brunswick on Wednesday, March 25th for the mock trial state finals. And during that state finals, there'll be the award presentation for our students to receive their award plaques and their professional photos taken. There'll be an exhibition where the students' winning sketches will be framed and displayed in the Law Center Rotunda. And then they get to continue their skills and do live sketching. They get to sit in a reserved front row seating to sketch the live state final proceedings. So they'll even get more opportunity to do these sketches. So congratulations to all those students and our art program, just for allowing our students to have these opportunities and be able to succeed like this. I do want to congratulate our student wrestlers at North Hunterdon, Stella Frigioli for placing 6th, and Caden Waddle for placing 8th in the state. So we had individual wrestling, they did well, and that was nice to see 2 state winners come back. I do want to send a thank you out to the Kappas family and Kappas Landscaping and the Hanson family for their generous donation of the throwing circle. It was used for the first time as we hosted the first North Hunterdon Throws Invitational. So today I got to go to a track meet out there before the board meeting and walk around. It's North Voorhees in Phillipsburg, a tri-meet I think is what they call that. And I got to go up to the throwing circles and actually see it in action. And it is really impressive what they did. The facilities look phenomenal. They said they modeled it after college facilities. All the materials and labor was donated by our parents, by the parent groups, and it was just great to see our students using it and being part of that. And for the first time, we were able to hold a throwing meet because we had a facility capable of doing that. Prior to that, we weren't able to actually host it here. So I do want to throw one more plug out there for the Prism concert coming up. I believe it's this Thursday, Max, right? Thursday. I believe it starts at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
And I know there was an invite that went around from the North Hunterdon Music Association for board members. If you have an opportunity to attend this, it's a phenomenal concert. They have a professional group that comes in that puts sound with the color with the sound, and it's just a great experience. You really enjoy it. It's hard to explain until you actually see it. But if you have an opportunity, please do that. All right, I do want to report a little bit on our strategic plan as well. So we did meet on March 10th. I have to find the right paper here. No, that's not going to be it. I'm going to tell you what we did. We met on March 10th. I do know we met on March 10th. And so the biggest part of the presentation was Katie actually came to our meeting. At the February meeting, we talked about some of the things, all the district goals that we have. And we focus a lot on staff wellness. We focus a lot on our future-ready learning framework. And one of our goals is to increase financial transparency, right? Which we've tried to do here for the board with all of our presentations. But it occurred to me as we were talking at the February meeting that we don't do that for our staff. And our staff, sometimes don't really have a good understanding of how we develop a budget and why some cuts have to be made and why some difficult decisions have to be made. So I thought it was really important for this group to hear that. And Katie did a great job of presenting a lot of the information she presented to the public and to the board here. The staff was very receptive to it. We had some great questions. I think they were thankful, afterwards and understood a lot more about the process and some of the difficult decisions that we have to make. And so I think that really helped with the financial transparency side of that. We did talk about the Emerging Leaders Program. The Emerging Leaders Program is a program that was started at both high schools now. We have 6 emerging leaders that are going to be doing the program next year as a full-year program, and 5 at Voorhees, 6 at North and 5 at Voorhees, so 11 total. And basically what they're going to do is they're going to do a project. They're going to come up with something that they want to improve in our district. They're going to develop the project and a timeline for that, and then they're going to implement that and then report back on it. So it's a program that actually Hunterdon Central has. We found out about through the New Jersey Association of Educational Leaders. I was able to go to a sort of like a leadership conference where emerging leaders could come and talk to people that are in leadership roles. And then one of our teachers went to it. She said, "Hey, this sounds like a great idea. Could I do something at North?" And that's how it sort of evolved, and then Voorhees became involved, and it's been a great program. So, and then the last thing we talked about was our staff recognition. I do want to just do our staff recognition very quickly. We started if you can cue up there we go. So what we talked about was having we're calling this the Board of Education Staff Spotlight. And I think as I mentioned previously, the idea of recognizing our exemplary staff here at the board table sounds like a great idea, but for our staff members, that's another evening out, right? So instead of having our staff members come out to tell them how good they are and how much we appreciate them, I asked the student reps to actually join me at each of the buildings and present an award to each one of the members. And so we did that today. We're going to try to do it a day or so before, just in case we run into any snags. But we were able to get it done today. So first I want to talk about North Hunterdon. And the staff member that was chosen was Summer Morris. Summer Morris fosters North Hunterdon's Lion Pride among staff by organizing a fun activity or event each month that brings everyone together. She also leads our Cultural Celebrations Day, a vibrant day-long event where students share food, traditions, and activities that highlight their cultural backgrounds. In addition, she runs the Diversity Club and recently took on the role of teacher advisor for the new Muslim Student Association Club. Through all of her efforts, she consistently builds a strong sense of community and pride within the school. And as someone who has known Summer her entire career here, she exudes happiness, she exudes positivity. She is a teacher that every student enjoys being in class with. She's really just she is the epitome of what you would want your teacher to be. So we really appreciate Summer and thank her for all of her contributions to our district. Then at Voorhees, we're able to go up and recognize a gentleman named Tony McCoskey. Summer is a Spanish teacher at North Hunterdon High School, for those who don't know. Tony is a health and physical education teacher at Voorhees High School. So Tony is currently in his 30th year of service to the district, and in that span of time, his contributions to the school and community have gone above and beyond. As a health and PE teacher, his contributions have been significant to say the least. He has introduced new and engaging activities in the physical education program, revamped the scope and sequence of the freshman health and PE curriculum, and became a certified adventure sports instructor while spearheading the ongoing development of that program. He also played a key role in our strength and conditioning program as he led the charge in updating the weight room multiple times in the last 3 decades, becoming a certified strength coach, and helped many of our coaches develop workouts for our student athletes. Additionally, he has taken a leadership role in his department, coordinating equipment orders, helping to develop schedules, and serving as both official and unofficial mentor to new teachers. Mr. McCoskey has coached over 40 athletic seasons for football, wrestling, and baseball, including 9 seasons as the head football coach at Voorhees, where he led the Vikes to a division championship, 2 playoff appearances, and 3 milk can victories. More than anything, Mr. McCoskey's love and devotion for Voorhees has been evident throughout his professional existence. He advocates for positive change, is quick to praise exemplary work for his peers, and gives 100% in the classroom, all in an effort to make Voorhees a better place to work and provide students with the best experience possible. So congratulations to Mr. McCoskey as well. He's somebody that I've known my entire career here, which is something not many people I can say that about anymore. And Tony is the leader. He's a leader in that building where if people have a question or they feel like they want to if they need something, they know Tony's the guy that can help them do that. And so thank you to both Mr. McCoskey and Senora Morris for everything that they do for our district. And thank you, board reps, for helping me when to present that.
Do you think we would be able to, I don't know when our next district newsletter goes out, to be able to sort of capture those?
My plan would be to put all of these in that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think, as we roll through these. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to roll into my agenda items now. I didn't even touch the agenda yet. But I do want to read a resolution as 7.1, which is related to our unsung heroes. I know a lot of you were able to attend the unsung hero ceremony on March 4th, but so we have a resolution that I'm going to ask the board to vote on, and then we're going to present this resolution in a frame to the individuals that won this so that they have that for their records as well. They were already recognized at the Unsung Hero Award, so I didn't ask them to come out again. So resolution 032426-3, Unsung Heroes Recognition. Whereas the North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District Board of Education hereby recognizes Teresa Peterson and Larkin Villatoro for receiving the Hunterdon County Boards Association Unsung Hero Award on March 4th, 2026, and whereas the Hunterdon County School Boards Association, in collaboration with the New Jersey School Boards Association, recognizes unsung heroes from each North Hunterdon High School and Voorhees High School in Hunterdon County, and whereas the Unsung Hero Award honors students who make outstanding contributions to their schools and communities but are often overlooked by other traditional student recognition programs, these students have overcome difficult academic or personal challenges, modeled good citizenship, or in a spirit of quiet strength that has inspired others. These unsung heroes may have organized community nonprofit programs, selflessly supported others, or achieved academic success despite disabilities, language barriers, or other significant challenges. And whereas Teresa Peterson and Larkin Villatoro have overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles to reach their full potential, have served the school community and the community at large, and stand as a beacon to inspire others, now therefore be it resolved that the North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District Board of Education recognizes Teresa Peterson and Larkin Villatoro as unsung heroes of Hunterdon County and the North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District, and be it further resolved that this resolution is presented to Teresa Peterson and Larkin Villatoro as a sincere token of the North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District Board of Education's congratulations and best wishes for continued success. So,
Would you like us to move that at this
if
time?
you can move that at this time, that'd be great.
Can I call for a motion and a second to approve Resolution 032426-3 in recognition of our unsung heroes? For a motion, Nicole, thank you. Second, Andrea, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed or abstentions? No? I will say, I've heard from other schools around the county, what an amazing job our team did in presenting those unsung heroes. They said it really was the spirit of what that award is designed to be, and had kudos for us as a district. And I think, Rich, I think you were able to attend, Brian, you were able to attend, Tara, you were able to attend, so a great celebration of our students here.
So thank you. Bye, Sam.
Thanks, Max.
Bye.
Thanks, Sam.
Have a great month.
See you soon.
Yes, we'll see you next month. We do not have any, well, actually, we have 4 cases of HIB to report this month. All of them were unfounded. So we will need to vote on those next month. But for the actual vote for this month, we had no HIB cases reported last month, so we actually don't have any action to take this month on our HIB cases. We do have our monthly school reports there. I will mention my attendance portion of that. So in alignment with our attendance policy, number one, if you look at the attendance report, you'll see Super Bowl Monday had a little dip. And we still, even with that, North Hunterdon had a total of 1,959 absences for the month of February. And that is down from 2,118 in the same month in the previous year. Voorhees had a total of 992 absences for the month of February, and that is down from 1,400 at the same time last year. So we're still, North Hunterdon is at 6.78% absentee rate. Voorhees is at 5.47. That is, again, significantly down at Voorhees and cut in half at North. Based on what it was last year so far. And we still got the end of the year, there'll be some senioritis that attributes to this, but I think we're on the right track, and I think our goal was to be below 10%, which is what the state considers chronically absent, so, and we're in good shape right now for that. So the monthly reports are there. I do want to also mention that there is another item on my report that I'm not going to probably mention every month, but we're going to leave it on the agenda just so it's there to be noted. Because of the new law on how we have to advertise our legal publications, including our board meeting times and dates, we're just going to link to the website where those legal notices are published, so that it's another way that the public can, looking at our agenda, can see all of our legal notices, including our meeting times and agendas. And that is all I have.
And then one clarification I would add, and I know Samantha brought it up and was here, and I conferred with you. I know she was commenting about the traffic up at Voorhees, and I was confirming that it is a result of the gas line project up there. I think everyone on this board understands that there had been conversations between the school, the utility, and the municipality, that if the district were amenable to having a line brought to the school, I think we just had to connect a single device.
They asked us to commit to one appliance, over the next year.
And I know, Tara, I know you were an advocate for a lot of folks who were looking for that opportunity to have gas lines run up that, and they needed a partner in someone like us to bring it to the community and make it viable.
Our constituents from Krieger Road up, so it's servicing a lot, but it is snarling traffic. I've gotten stuck in it quite a bit.
I have to say they are moving fast, it looks like.
But they are, they're moving fast,
So,
but it'll be great, so.
Okay, I will shift into my report. Still, once again, the reminder, I think I briefed last week and probably the month before, the CSA evaluation as Dr. Burgess finishes his portion. We will get that. Just so for the folks who are new, Dr. Burgess will go through each of the district goals. He'll sort of report out on the things that he's done and the district has accomplished towards that goal. He'll self-assess as to whether that goal was partially met, completely met. As a new board member, you may find yourself in a situation where you do not feel like you've been on the board and able to observe enough, so you have the option to say that this is something that you can't comment on or you haven't observed. And we will get the opportunity to provide some input on each of those goals, what we've noticed, what we've seen. And then similarly, there'll be a second set that will talk about the leadership qualities of Dr. Burgess and his work, and once again, we will assess him on that sort of leadership index. That gets kind of synthesized together into a comprehensive report, which the board then, in essence, delivers to Dr. Burgess about the things that we notice that we think are going well, the things that we think could be focus areas for improvement going forward, and that just becomes a cycle of ongoing conversation. So that will be coming. This Thursday, we also have, if you recall, we reinitiated the board leadership roundtable with our constituent districts, so that's going to be happening on Thursday. Tara and I will be in attendance. As I'm hearing about the Prism concert, I'm thinking like, okay, maybe I can hop from one to the other, and that's not the one where I put the headphones on, right? And I can, okay, that's a different concert. Or that's my daughters around the house who just don't listen. So yeah, it is a great opportunity. I'm looking forward to that conversation. I know a number of our sending districts will be there. As I said previously, I imagine there'll be a lot of conversations about the budget challenges that all districts are facing. And with the prospect of the regionalization study that we're participating in, and several of our other districts are participating in, it really becomes a forum for ongoing conversation, not only for shared services, but exploring those bigger kinds of initiatives. And in that same spirit, if you recall, we had been contacted by Franklin Township. Dr. Burgess and I had an opportunity to meet with the board president and superintendent from Franklin Township. They will be in attendance also at that roundtable meeting. You know, in addition to any sort of shared service exploration, they are keenly interested in the regionalization conversation, and something they are very, very open to exploring and having discussions about as well. So I anticipate that conversation will continue in that forum as well. Any just questions or clarifications on any of those specific items? Beyond that, we have our next two meetings, April 21st, our working session, and April 28th, our annual budget hearing and regular board meetings. So it's sort of the bookend to the preliminary budget tonight and the work that has led up to tonight as things get finalized for the next year. All right, we now have our opportunity for public comment. During this portion of the meeting, the public is invited to address the Board of Education with comments. You are requested to sign the register provided and state your name, municipality of residence, group affiliation if applicable, and direct your comments to the school board president. While all comments will be considered by the Board of Education and a response may be forthcoming if and when appropriate, individual board members may not respond to the speakers at the time of their appearance. The public comment period will be a maximum of 30 minutes in length. Unless there are unusual circumstances, you'll be allocated 3 minutes to speak, and no one will be permitted to speak more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. Please keep your comments respectful and non-defamatory, and maintain the level of decorum appropriate for a public meeting where students may be present and in the audience. So I'd like to turn over the microphone to any folks who would like to come forward and speak at this time.
Hi, I'm J.P. LaBelle from Union Township, and I'll direct it directly to President McIsaac. The Prism concert is not the silent disco. You cannot wear headphones at Prism concert. I'm really here to advertise Prism concert, having been a bandy and a theater person myself. I've been talking with Bonnie Wilt. She's one of the fundraisers for the North Hunterdon Music Association. She's doing a great job, and I want to cordially invite all of you to our fabulous and unique, very unique to North, one and only Prism concert. It'll be this Thursday, 2 days away, people, from 8 to 10. You can purchase tickets online. Where else could you experience various choirs, a jazz band, a concert band, an orchestra, the soloists, and every aspect of our wonderful music department? If you've never been, you need to come and be amazed. And if you have experienced Prism before, you know that you do not want to miss it again. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you there. And having said that, being a band parent, I wish, it's a shame Max left. They were great in Shrek. I was in lead of my high school theater. It was awesome. And he was drum major, my kids were drum majors and marching band members and so on. I would just encourage the board to be a little more timely in approving things like the Disneyland trips or Disney World trips that only happen once every 4 years, and buses and things like that to the airports and so on, because that's really one of the few things that helps recruit. When you hear all the wonderful things being done at both high schools, sometimes you need some bait, and a Disney trip always brings kids in. You know, having seen our marching bands go from 150 people to less than 100 is disappointing, and also seeing in general, either the apathy or the non-commitment or whatever of kids who don't want to participate in different events. It's heartwarming to hear how many events we had going on, how many are succeeding, how many do well. And to this day, some of my high school memories are my best and during rough times. So, by show of hands, who are all coming to the Prism? That's kind of a half. Come on, I want to see, come on. See you all at Prism.
Any other public comment at this time?
So Glenn Paganich, Union Township. So I just wanted to commend the administration for the preliminary budget you're presenting tonight. I have to say, when I heard the cost that Katie presented back in February, and when I saw the relatively flat state aid, I thought you would have a difficult time getting the number you got tonight. So I commend you for your hard work and the hard work of the board. And certainly that number, as many of you new to the board are realizing, that's their hard work, but also their foresight in foreseeing the future, right? So I think you're beginning to see, those of you new here, that we have an excellent team running our schools, right? So I think you'll see that more and more as you work here. I sort of ask you, right, step back from the numbers sometimes, right? It's easy to get lost in the single numbers. It's easy to get lost in test scores, and ask yourself more holistically, like, what's happening, okay? I've had 4 kids go through this school, and year over year I ask myself, am I getting value for my money? And I could see that, right? And I don't have kids in this school anymore, but it took literally 5 minutes for me tonight to listen to these representatives and listen to these young men on the hockey team, for me to say to myself, am I getting value for my money? And the answer is, right, astoundingly yes, right? You could see it live tonight, right? You're getting value for your money. And for you, I think you got to ask yourselves, I don't love the tax numbers, right? And I appreciate putting these numbers to your constituents is not an easy thing to do. But look holistically at what you're getting for the value of the money, right? And I think you saw it tonight, right? We are producing excellent students. Sit at graduation and listen to yourselves and hear the graduation rates and hear that your students are going to excellent colleges. They're going to the trades, right? You had only a handful of young men here tonight, and you heard a smattering of colleges and trades, right? And that's not typical for every high school, certainly in not this state, but also in the tri-state area, right? And so it's our responsibility as adults of this community to provide opportunities for our students, right? And again, I appreciate the number that you're being shown tonight is not an easy number to swallow. It's not an easy number to present to your constituents. But ask yourself, are we getting value for that money? And I think you saw it tonight. Resoundingly, the answer is year is yes. So again, my congratulations to you for that budget. And I'm astonished you were able to get it in at that number, given what you were facing.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? Okay. I would just say to the supporters of the music community and the band community, as somebody who's worked in public education for many years, those communities are some of the most powerful communities, I think, among students. So it's great to hear their accomplishments and hear what they're doing. And you know, the statement that those are some of the most powerful memories that kids have. That's something I've seen throughout my career. And just seeing those students year in, year out, those are some of the strongest bonds I think we see in public education. So thank you for your continued support. All right. If there are no additional comments, we will go to curriculum instruction and technology. Can I get a call for a motion and a second to approve agenda item 10.1? Can I get a motion? Dan, can I get a second? Second, Tara, thank you. So we have our home instruction updates here. Any questions or clarifications for the administration? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? None? All right, thank you. Next, we're moving to policy and school security. Can I get a call for a motion and second to approve agenda item 11.1 through 11.3? Can I get a motion? Brian, thank you. Can I get a second? Second. Dan, thank you. Questions, clarifications? Obviously, these were the if you recall from last week, these were the policies that were missing from the import of school board policies, and along with their regulations and exhibits, we took an initial look at them in committee, brought them to the working session, and they're here again with some of the details fleshed out. I saw that the director of curriculum has inherited the role of smoking education for parents as an assignment. So good luck, Rich Brown.
Yep.
Open the floor for questions and additional questions, comments, or clarifications. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Yes.
I'm a no on 11.1.1.
Okay. We now move to finance, facilities, and transportation. Can I get a call for a motion and second to approve agenda item 12.1, the resolution and adoption of our preliminary budget and annual maximum travel expenditures? Motion? Tara, second. Andy, thank you. Questions, clarifications? I know we have, is this time for the presentation? Yep, okay. So questions and clarifications during the presentation and after the presentation. And this was, if you recall, also shared with you, so you should have it from an email from Katie. Stephen, thank you for that suggestions on our aging eyes.
I've never seen anything this so
It's in the BOE resource.
In January, we talked about our cost containment and how we've been able to contain costs over the past several years. We talked about revenues last month, and now I'm presenting the preliminary budget to be submitted to the county office. So I'll let Rich talk a little bit about our budget goals and how we shape our budget around these goals.
So we've talked about these multiple times now, so I'm not going to read every component of this, but I want to make sure I highlight, what the important parts of these are. Number one, and first and foremost, maintaining our comprehensive educational and extracurricular programs. I think we heard a lot of that tonight. A lot of the student reports, a lot of things you heard about the accomplishments of our students are in the classroom, but also outside the classroom. And I think providing those opportunities is a primary goal for any budget, to be able to make sure that students have, the academic support that they need, but also the experience that they should have in high school. And I think our students leave with a great experience, and they are prepared academically. So number one, I think, is the reason it's number one is the most important. We do have to also ensure safe and functional facilities. This budget does aim to do that. Just the maintenance of our buildings. When you look around our buildings, I never thought I would talk about HVAC as much as I do, but fresh air is pretty important in a building this size. And just again, cutting the grass, making sure that flowers are planted, making sure that bushes are trimmed. These are all things that this budget will provide for, and we'll continue to see the excellence in our facilities that we currently have. Attracting and retaining highly qualified staff, that would be a really close second to number one for me, because if we want to make sure that we have the best staff for our students, and I'm confident that we have that, and we continue to maintain that. And so it's not only attracting them, but it's keeping those staff members and making sure that they feel supported and happy. And those are all the things that we've talked about, many things. It's why one of our district goals is, staff climate, to make sure that our staff and faculty feel supported. This board does that. They support the faculty and staff. They see it, they hear it, they feel it. I know that from being in that strategic planning advisory committee. that's the feedback that I get from that committee, is that they see what this board does and how it supports them, and they appreciate that. And I hope that you appreciate them as much as I do. As we do want to exercise fiscal responsibility and cost containment. And again, when you look at some of the things that we were able to cut in this budget, 1.6 million altogether, closer to 1.7 now. You know, again, we tried to stay as far away from students as we could, right? As far away from the classroom as we could, as far away from activities as we could, and really got creative in ways to try to restructure some things with attrition of staff and restructuring things so that we were able to save the 1.7 million and bring this budget to a 4.29% increase instead of a 4.6. You know, I wish we could have gotten lower, but we'll talk about when we get to one slide how we were $1.6 million less now than we were in 2018, 2019 with the state funding formula. And that 1.6, if you think about it, that's exactly what we're missing right now. So, you know, 2% would have been easy if we had the state funding that we thought we were going to have. And then last but not least is aligning with our strategic goals and state mandates. So our strategic plan, you know, really outlines what our community wanted. We spent a full year, you know, talking to our community, surveying them, and asking them what they wanted. And our strategic plan lays out what our community expects over the next 5 years. So this budget supports that. It also supports the state mandates that we don't have a choice whether or not we want to participate in them. So those state mandates are typically unfunded. You know, the state doesn't say you need to do this and we're going to give you a little bit more money to do it. They just say you need to do it. And then it's on us and our taxpayers to be able to make sure that is implemented. So I hope, you know, everyone read over these budget goals. I think we wrote these, you know, so that you would really understand what we try to do from a philosophical standpoint while developing this budget, which is a lot of numbers, but those numbers translate to student experience.
So what were our budget challenges this year? And as Rich has already stated, the state aid funding that we've been receiving is what we're going to be talking about in the next few slides. The adequacy formula is not keeping pace with the expenditure increases, and we've been seeing that the past several years. It doesn't keep pace with the actual costs of our transportation, our special education needs, and our security. Healthcare costs are rising at a significant rate, and it's an anomaly year. We have very reliable and consistent rate increases in the SHIF as we've had the past several years, as we're a part of a JIF where there's several districts all participating in the same plan. But this 20% increase that we're experiencing this year is unfortunately the best scenario in a very poor marketplace right now. The state health benefit plan is seeing rate increases greater than 30-35% right now. So this requires our district to raise our levy above the 2% in order to keep pace with that expenditure. Our special education costs are rising greater than 2%, and the district placements are actually reducing for this year, which helped our budget in this scenario. Based on our excellent in-district programs, we're able to keep more students in district and keep them from going out of district. Transportation costs do rise greater than 2%. There are driver shortages and increasing gasoline costs, which also drive up the route costs for transportation. And again, state mandates require district participation in programs that require additional staffing or cost to us. So in order to stay compliant, it does squeeze our budget. So how did we bridge the gap and deal with those challenges? So again, as we presented at the last budget meeting, we talked about our budget drivers increasing at a rate much greater than our expected revenue. So how did we bridge this gap? There's an in-district ESL program proposed for next year. So that is included in this budget, so it will reduce our out-of-district costs. We're supporting in-district special programs and reducing our out-of-district professional costs. We're right-sizing our non-instructional staff members at both buildings, streamlining our security operations, continued cohort expansion at Polytech programs without increasing our staff in our buildings, but increasing the number of students coming from their programs. Reduction in our staffing through attrition, as Rich had mentioned, and reducing our budget requests from the buildings. So as far as enrollment, these two charts speak to the Voorhees enrollment and North enrollment. So our base population at North and Voorhees are slightly declining. However, you can see on these charts that the Hunterdon County vocational programs, which are the smaller pieces at the bottom of each bar, are both stabilizing our total enrollment. So the first chart is Voorhees, and the students are our students, meaning the North Voorhees students, are the top bar. So those, reddish orange, largest bar. The smaller pieces at the bottom, the blue, the orange, the yellow, are each of the vocational programs at the Voorhees building. The second chart is for North Hunterdon High School, and the largest green bar obviously are North students, and the smaller orange is the Biomed Academy, and the blue piece is the new North Campus building right below our building here. That building has 2 years of cohorts right now, and we're expecting 2 more. So right now we have freshmen and sophomore, and over the next 2 years they'll be adding also, juniors and seniors as they're expanding their programs and also adding additional programs in that building. So we're hoping that those numbers also increase over the course of time. While our student enrollment may be declining slightly, we'll see those increasing.
And just one quick question. So if they take shared programs at the VOTEC or Polytech, they take their core curriculum classes at North?
They become a full-time student and take all of their core curriculum in our building. So they walk back and forth between the building.
Okay.
So if it's one of our students, it's sort of, they come off our roles and go on Polytech's roles, but we still teach all their core academic classes. If it is a student from outside of our footprint, they're coming in, they're still taking all their core academic classes, but they still don't help our enrollment.
Okay.
So our enrollment numbers, if anything, are lower because of Polytech, but we end up getting a significant portion of that tuition back because we provide the academic courses.
Do we know how many, I mean, this is probably a question for another time, but do we know how many of our students we would have lost to another VOTEC, but instead now come here and stay within district?
So the programs here, it's typically about 50% North Voorhees kids in the programs, give or take the program. There are some that are a little bit heavier on North Voorhees and not so heavy. So you could theoretically say that those students, we would have lost those students to another VOTEC program, but it probably wouldn't be the same number because a student that gets to stay here at North Voorhees and be a part of that program, that's an advantage to them because they get to stay in their home school. If they had to leave their home school to go to a different school, they might choose not to do that.
You're right, other districts that are sending their students here then incur the cost of not only the tuition to attend Polytech, but also the transportation, because it's the responsibility of the district to provide the transportation to the student. So if that building was on another campus, we would be paying for the student to attend and to transport the students. So we would be incurring significantly more costs. So the revenue comparison from last year, the major changes include an increase in tax levy of 4.29%, a decrease in our anticipated extraordinary aid, a decrease in our budgeted fund balance from the prior year, a small decrease in the miscellaneous revenue, and a small increase in state aid, which we'll talk about again in more detail in another slide. So focusing on state aid, you can see this chart has passed several years, and the S2 state aid cuts have impacted us in a very significant way. And I know we've talked about this at length, but it is important to keep noting that the district had $1.9 million cut from its budget over the course of that 6-year period. So again, although we've seen 2 years of small increases, again, it's not keeping pace though with the increase of expenditures each year. So it is bearing the burden on the taxpayer and not on the state to keep pace with the cost of education.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that was, I mean, I realize we're going back a number of years now. That was part of the strategy of why the district formed the partnerships with the magnet structure with the Polytech, because it was recognizing that if state aid was going to be decreasing over 7 years, if you weren't doing anything to make your program and building attractive enough to bring students from outside or keep them, there wasn't going to be anything to offset that loss.
Yeah, the revenue was a big part of that, but it was also to make sure we kept our students in district as well. So.
Quick question. So what are the actual mechanics that go into the, excuse me, the state funding formula? Like what are they using to figure out increases and decreases? Like what, you understand what I'm saying? Like what formula, like what's inside the formula that they're coming out with these calculations?
That's a good question. There's many components to it. They do take a 6-year rolling average of enrollment, and then they determine how far over adequacy you are. It's about a 6-page document that they give you. But the nuance to that is, but how much are they funding it? And are they funding it in 100% of what it should be? And that's where the same thing with the X8 conversation. What we're entitled to versus what we receive is the difference. So I can share that again in another meeting or off to the side. I could show you some calculations on that. But it's really how much they're funding the formula itself
So
than it is the calculation.
So I guess if I'm clarifying on Rich's question, the state has a formula that they've determined, this is how you determine what is considered adequate funding for students.
Right.
And then, even though it's their formula that they've designed, they then give us less than what that formula would entail. And I don't know if this is what you're getting at, Rich, like, what is the rationale for having a formula that says we should fund at this level, but we're going to actually fund it
Part of
lower?
it, yeah.
Yeah, at a portion of it.
And there's a portion of the calculation that takes into account transportation costs and special education costs, but the argument is always, our professional organization goes to Trenton and advocates for districts to say, it doesn't make sense that those calculations that you have are nowhere near realistic, right? The transportation costs that we're incurring are not what you're portraying on this funding formula, and then you're not also funding it properly. So there's multiple layers of issues.
All right, so then, all right, I guess I'll reiterate for the people like me in the back who are trying to understand. So A, they determine the formula. The formula is not realistic because it doesn't keep
Correct.
pace with the expenditures and the costs of goods and services and educating students. So in addition to not being realistic, they still fund it
Correct.
lower. But is there an argument or a rationale on the part of the state as to why, even if it's not realistic, what's the argument for why they don't fund it? But is there a rationale?
I think it's because it's all part of a big budget.
It depends on how much
They
their budget
say,
is.
this is how much we're willing to spend, and, so they may say, if you followed their formula, and you multiply by all the students, it should be some number X. But Trenton says, I'm not gonna spend X
Not
on
gonna give you
education.
X.
I'm gonna spend 90% of X or 80% of X on education.
Prior to S2, for a long time, it was what they called flat funding. So everybody basically got what they got the year before. And that hurt a lot of districts, to be perfectly honest. As our enrollments were slightly going down, we got the same exact funding. And then what happened, other districts, their enrollments were going up and they were getting exactly the same flat funding. So S2, the intention with this was to come up with a more equitable distribution of those funds throughout the state. Whether or not that is equitable, that is, up for debate. But that was the intention of this, and that's why it was put in place. And that's why you will hear of districts that are gaining money. Over the last, 7 years that we lost money, there were districts that gained money. We just weren't one of them.
So I guess my other question is, so if you know the formula, right? Does that help you kind of come up with, okay, if they fund it at 100%, this is where we think the number is gonna be? Like, can you make that predetermination based on the formula that they gave you? Meaning, like, the factor that you don't have, to Brian's point, is how much of that formula gets funded. But does that even help assist, to guide you on where you think it should be, if it was at 100%?
Let me just make sure I understand what you're asking, is if I were to put in the calculation what I think should be fully funded, again, that's an estimation, and it doesn't mean that they're gonna be fully funding that formula, right? But you're just saying, if it was fully funded, what would it be?
Yeah, like, if it was fully funded, would that help guide you in advance, say, okay, meaning like, here's the formula. So here's what we would get based on their formula if they funded it at 100%.
Right.
Here's what we would get if they funded it at 90%. And then does that guide you to say, okay, I have no idea if we're getting 100%, 80%, 70%, but does that help you come up with those calculations so you can't control what they fund, but at least does that give you guidance on what you should, or what we should get at whatever level they fund it? Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but I don't think that's what I would use as my rationale. We tend to rely on our county office, who has direct line to Trenton, to say, where do we think they are for this year? And then they tell us where we think we might be landing for our state aid numbers.
The calculation is one factor, but it's how they're going to implement that calculation. Our county office usually has additional information on that. So they'll be able to tell us, get ready, it's gonna be a tough year. The state budget's gonna be very tough and you're gonna have to, you might see cuts. Or they might say, plan for flat. And that's what they did this year. They said, plan for flat. And so we listened to the county office and we were pretty close. $17,000 increase was
more or less flat.
Pretty much flat.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, the funding formula is garbage,
That's the consensus
The
kind of.
consensus of
yeah.
I think most
right?
people.
Because you can't use it for anything.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, when it comes to,
That's
for,
true.
for state aid, yes, we don't rely on state aid as,
Yeah.
we're not relying on any increases in state aid from year to year.
And the max increase is 6%, and the max decrease is 3%. Is that correct?
This year.
This year?
This year.
Yeah, but that could change next year and every year.
Right, it truly
subsequently.
depends on how much they want to fund.
No, it makes sense. It's garbage.
I just had a question about the other slide where the revenue from the state over the years. So this is not inflation adjusted either, right? So,
Yes.
so like it's 1.6%, 1.6 million difference, but inflation,
Absolutely.
it's way higher. yeah.
These are just flat numbers,
Right.
like from, as if the dollar in 2018 had the same value as the dollar today.
Right.
If you were to take this 18-19 first bar and adjust that for inflation over each year, you're right, that would look like a
It
totally
would be a
different
huge,
scenario.
much bigger
Yeah.
disparity. Okay.
Which is arguably, everyone says, your budget goes up 2%. That's not the case because our state aid revenue is always flat. So it's always usually more like a 1.8% increase in the total expenditure, the ability to raise those funds.
But Rich, to your point, and I know there's, not that school boards have a lot of tools at their disposal to push back on this. We do have a voice as a school board. We can put resolutions together that say, hey, we are facing unprecedented challenges, whether it's your formula or the way that the state is handling healthcare or whatever those things are. We might be a small voice, but we certainly can be a voice in that, and we can be a voice that can engage with other voices. And I could also see that as the roundtable gets together, I imagine there will be a number of folks who will feel that way. And I feel that you've got a couple of organizations out there. We certainly have school boards who but I don't know enough about their political sort of advocacy for funding and things like
They
that.
do, and we've had sessions on the county level, and I'm going to push for our September as a finance. We're going to have them come in and discuss this, because even the experts there will talk about the formula and kind of chuckle, because it should be straightforward, and it's
But
not.
that's the thing I don't understand.
It should be predictable as
It
well.
should
I
be
see what you're
predictable,
saying.
yeah, exactly.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you have a formula that you can't rely on.
Right.
So it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So it's like you're rolling the dice. Like, the business office has nothing to rely on if the formula itself is broken, right? So I don't know, it seems like other school boards are grappling with this, like, nobody can get their arms around what the formula actually consists of.
Now, we're too late for this delegate assembly in May, but if we wanted to put together, and we might, and we probably could get a lot of Hunterdon County and Morris County and Warren and the others, a resolution and from school boards, go into Trenton and say, hey, every year we're dealing with this, here's a resolution, we want to fix this going forward for our board and future boards and our taxpayers, so.
Or even, it's a good point, Tara, even if they just gave us an explanation of how to decipher it.
I don't think they.
They don't, that's
I read
the-
I mean, that doesn't surprise me, I'm trying, but like, even if we disagreed with the formula, at least we should have an understanding how to read it, or how to use it, so we can plan accordingly, which sounds like, A, we can't do that, and then on top of that, you don't know at what level it's gonna be funded, so it's complete garbage.
But I do think, and admittedly, I feel like this has been an issue and a complaint for many years. I
Right.
mean, when I was on the board previously at CPS, it was, every year it was what's going on with the funding, the formula, years of decreases. And I think individually, you often feel powerless as an individual board. The opportunity to unify forces or voices. I know there's professional organizations, both superintendent and business administrators, who are probably pointing these things out all the time to the absurdity of this. I just don't know at what point you hit a critical mass where enough districts, enough folks are saying, enough already, let's bring some clarity to this, and we need solutions that aren't going to be year over year 20% healthcare spikes and things that are just demonstrably beyond our control. I mean, I'm certainly willing to engage in that conversation and help organize those conversations, that voice, and that sort of campaigning, because otherwise, we're going to be back in a different version of this next year.
100%.
And Rich, if I could liaise you directly to Trenton as the, that might actually accomplish something.
I might not, they're leaving me no choice.
Yeah, I had a question. Do we have any idea when the formula was last looked at?
I read an article, I think it was 15 years ago, that it was implemented, and that the 25-26 school year was the first time it actually was fully adapted. So it hasn't even been like working properly, I
They
think,
pretty
for
much
15
ignored it
years.
for over 10 years.
Kicking
Like
the
Rich
can
was
down the
saying,
road.
they just said flat funding. So they took the formula and said, don't worry about that, just same as last year for several years.
So it's
Now they're using the formula again, but it's also not fully funded. So again, you can't rely on it because you can calculate it all you want, but then when they say, well, it's actually 60% of what that is.
But so much
Or
has
it's
changed.
70%.
So much has changed
That
in
it's
15
arbitrary.
years that it's now arbitrary to use.
Right.
And it should be looked at again to,
Obviously, yeah.
you know, see how it can be adjusted.
Right, but if costs for something go up 20% each year,
There's
that's not sustainable. I mean, nothing goes up 20% each
No
year.
amount of formula working
Accounts for.
It's not just formula.
And again, if you look at these historical numbers, like, this year is an anomaly because of healthcare. That's the only reason we're even having this discussion right now. Otherwise, we would be in that 2.3, 2.4,
Right, right. I mean,
2.6. You know, we'd still have to
healthcare,
keep up with the other
Mm-hmm.
costs, but that, it would be a half percentage point or around that. It wouldn't be another 2%, which is what.
Right, it's
It's
one thing that's driving.
Yes. And again, they're saying this is a one-off, you know, so that we shouldn't expect 20% healthcare increases every year. I'm hoping that's the case. I won't believe that until I actually see it.
What were the health costs increased last year? They were
Last year was about 8%.
8%. I mean, but
It's been a few years like that.
Still more than.
Right, but 8% is still a relatively large increase for any one line item. When you think about your personal budgets.
Without a doubt, yeah. But again, that 8% we were able to, you know, cover with the 2.7 last year.
What was the year, Katie, because Katie did a lot of work, and we were facing this with healthcare, and you went into this.
It was the double-digit increase in 2020.
Was it?
And that's when we went out for a new health insurance broker, we entered the shift, and then we were seeing normal rate increases until just last year. But again, that's the marketplace, unfortunately, in general.
But it was, we were.
We were a
this way we went
standalone
then,
plan,
yeah.
and then you ride the wave of your own claims experience, because that can be difficult.
But I think to Andrea's point, to be able to say that 8% is normal is challenging.
Right, I mean,
on
that's
its surface
challenging in and of
anyway.
itself.
That's true.
But there is still a big difference between 8 and
Yeah.
20%.
Oh, yeah,
And, you know, it is hard to think that next year they're going to say, oh, you're back to 3% in healthcare. I mean, that would be wonderful and amazing, but
Especially since this is a big chunk of the budget. It's not some tiny little sliver that's growing at 20%.
Yeah.
Right.
This is the second largest
some,
item.
right.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
So the proposed budget increase is a 4.29% to the local tax levy for the general fund of 26-27. The primary budget driver for this increase is the 20% increase in the health benefit costs, as we've been talking about. The total tax authority for this year is 4.6. However, due to the small increase in state aid and further budget reductions that we've been able to do, we are proposing a budget that is 4.29%. This will generate $171,975 of banked cap for future budget years. So if you're familiar with banked cap, if you do not go up to your taxing authority, you could take that money and spread it over the next 3 budget years, or leave it alone and never touch it again. But because you did not go up to your maximum tax levy, you can use that in a future year.
What was that dollar amount, Katie?
$171,975.
What was our max, was the max the first proposed percentage of the tax levy, or was it higher?
No, it was actually less than the 4.6. Last week, we proposed 4.49.
4.48.
Right.
Yes.
But so the max though
It's 4.6.
Right, okay. And so since it's
So
still
we-
below that,
We were below it, and now we're.
that money rolls over to use next year.
You
But it
can
doesn't
use it
decrease
next
any
year, you
tax.
can use it over the course of the next 3 budget years.
Yeah,
Then
after-
it expires.
It expires after 3 years, so you can use all
You
of
can
it
use the
in year
piece of it,
one.
you can use all of it
use all of
next
it in year
year.
two, you can use part of it in year one, part of it in year three, you can, you have leeway as how you can use that. Or you don't use it, and it just expires, and it's okay too.
So is the bank cap like real money in our bank account, or is it?
No.
No.
Right,
Taxing
okay.
authority.
It's just, it's like, I don't wanna say funny money, but it's not.
I think the way to, correct me, Colin, but I think the way to think about it is, let's say next year, we don't have an exception, and so we're at the 2% is the max. We could go whatever 2% translates to in terms of the tax, and add $171,975, so it would effectively look like, I don't know, 2.2% or something like that. So, I mean, this is not money that's free.
Correct.
No.
The taxpayer
Yeah.
in a future year will have to give it to us.
Okay.
But it's a way to,
Okay.
it's like that extra beyond, whatever there is beyond 2%, because this year
We didn't
the
use our.
2.6 points beyond 2% are because of the healthcare increase.
It's leftover taxing authority that we can leverage in a
I think
subsequent
that kind
year.
of, that explains it in
Yeah.
a way that now I understand.
Because I think last year, if I recall, we didn't have any bank cap. I think the year before, we used up whatever we had. Yeah, something along that.
That was gonna be my next question. So is, on a rolling 3, is there anything left in, or like what's in there now?
There was
No.
not anything entering into this year.
Right.
We generated it, and that's what's going to be in for next year.
But then there would be 2 years, because you could use it for 3.
We could use it, right, we could,
So
don't have
what were
to.
the prior 2, right? You got bank cap up for the prior 2 years leading up to this year, so.
Right, but we did not have any, we went up to the full taxing authority those years. So there
Okay.
was nothing banked.
Okay, so this is basically, the 171,975 is everything?
Is everything.
Okay.
I think and I can't remember the 3 or 4 years before the last 2 years, I think we were using some bank cap each year.
Correct, so the 0% year, obviously we generated bank cap by not going up to the 2%. So then we used the bank cap over those 3 years with the asterisk.
Okay,
But we also refunded monies that was from the referendum. So the projects that were done over the referendum came in less than budgeted. So we're able to refund that to the taxpayers. But what we did was we refunded that over the course of the 3 years so that we increased the taxing authority, but then also gave them a refund, so their net tax bill was actually less than 2%.
so those numbers that we see, 1.6, 1.7, 2.2, were the workings of bank cap in concert with
In
the
concert with the
referendum?
refund,
Yes,
correct.
okay. So that's the whole idea, that by having the leftover, you can bring down that percent in future years.
Right, and the 171 could theoretically, we could spend 20,000 1 year and 50,000 and whatever the bank of the 3 years. Or all in one shot.
Rich, I saw your hand before,
I'm
but
good.
you're good? Okay, Stephen?
So it's still though, this is money that we can collect from taxpayers in the future. So that you can anticipate, if you have a budget shortfall, so to say, you can say, oh, well, I've got 170 grand, we can ask for 30 grand, we'll take this extra little, whatever that percent equates to next year's tax levy increase, because it might be capped at 2%, so then you can ask for that little bit extra. But it's not,
You're right.
like, yeah. I don't
You're
know.
exactly right.
All right, all right, but
Yeah, for a while when I first came on, I thought it was like kind of free money, like, oh, it was like this.
because we're holding it over their heads.
It's not
It's
free
like,
money, it's not.
We didn't charge you,
Yes, that's exactly it.
we didn't charge you
Without going for a second
4.6 now, but we
Right.
will over 3 years
We could,
potentially.
or we
can.
Or we
We
could.
can, yeah.
I'm trying not to.
Okay, yeah, that's like where it's,
And again, that's
This
up
is
to future
what we keep
boards, right?
trying
The
to do, yeah.
future boards will have the ability to use this bank cap if they so choose. And that's what it comes down to.
and that would be recommended off of administration's
Yeah.
budgeting forecast and things like that, so
Exactly.
this might be needed potentially, maybe, who knows?
And
Yeah.
where state aid goes.
Right,
Yeah.
maybe we write some good resolutions and get some good stuff.
Katie, what is the threshold to use the waiver, the health insurance waiver?
The threshold to.
So then you can hold that.
The maximum that we could
Correct.
go to?
No, how do you use, like, what triggers, like, yeah.
Oh, how is it calculated?
No.
No, what allows us
us,
to use the healthcare.
Right, well, that's a
1%.
calculation. So if your healthcare costs at the state level, they use the state health benefit plan as kind of their guide, and they say if that goes over 2%, that triggers the health insurance adjustment for all the districts. So it kind of opens that screen in our software where you can say, okay, well, what is our increase? Ours was 20. Is that still more than 2%? Yes. So they allow you to take anything over 2% as a health insurance adjustment. So 18% of our health insurance increase was able to be used as a health insurance adjustment. So that's how they get to that $1.4 million number.
So
That was available to us to go over the 2%.
So in other words, it is some recognition at the state level that healthcare costs, if our state plan is going up this much,
Correct.
we recognize that everybody's plans are going up. So we need to be a little more flexible and give you a little more leeway and authority to go above.
Correct. We will
Okay.
allow you to raise your tax authority over 2% because of this reason.
Because they recognize that the costs have spiked.
Right.
So Brown and Brown would basically be able to tell us kind of within Q4, I would assume at the latest of this year, right? About where the increase is gonna be for the
Final
bonds.
renewal, right.
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 So that'll give you an idea if you can pull that lever, if that'll be available, correct?
You mean
Well, I
if
don't
that's
know
going to
what-
be available to
Correct.
districts, that
Correct.
there's likely to be.
Correct, because we know that we're not gonna have the enrollment waiver available to us anytime soon.
And I'm trying to remember, Rich, because we heard from Brown and
Yeah,
Brown
in
in
November
November,
or October,
and
November.
at that time, they were kind of signaling that it was
Right.
going to be.
He said 30%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is,
Yeah,
yeah.
He said 30%, but we're hoping to do better or something
Right.
to that effect, yeah.
Stephen, I didn't want to lose yours.
Sorry, let's go back to that tax stuff. How was it refunded to taxpayers? Like literally, like.
Oh, the
refunded?
referendum
Yeah,
project
in
from
previous
prior?
years, so you said we were able to refund the taxpayers. Was it a literal financial refund to constituents? Like that this, like how does that work?
So what we were able to do is, in my accounting world, there's different funds. So general fund is our operating budget. Debt service fund is where your referendum fund sits, so it's in a separate fund to track those capital projects related to referendums. So after all of those projects were completed, there was money left over, right? So instead of doing any additional projects that were kind of under the umbrella of that referendum, we decided that being that it was a significant amount of money, that we could give it to the taxpayers. So how does that look? When we prepared the budget, there's a separate taxing percentage on your tax bill for referendum approval votes. So after the taxpayers have approved a referendum, on their tax bill, there's a separate debt service assessment. So what we're able to do in the budget software is take the money that we can refund them and lower that debt service assessment, because there is long-term debt associated with those projects. So we're kind of lowering the payment that we have to make against those capital projects on your tax bill. So it's like taking the two lines on your tax bill that's like North Voorhees and the referendum vote. We're able to lower the referendum debt service percentage that you're paying of taxes.
So it acts like a credit on your.
It's almost like a credit on your tax bill versus the general fund, which is our operating budget.
Thank you for explaining.
And we're not,
I'm sorry, it's
Not at all.
complicated.
It's very complicated. Thank you for the explanation.
and we're not, the way I understand it for a referendum, you can only use those funds for the projects that are
very
allocated
specific
for.
projects.
Or something related to those projects, yeah. Like if it expands. But
So
you
at the-
can't just spend it on
At the
some.
conclusion of that, we realized that there really wasn't anything else that we could tie into that, so we thought it was best to just,
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
that's
fund
great.
it.
And also, we're not in that situation right now. We've
Right, correct.
We've closed the books on that.
Yes.
And we do not have a current, we're not paying any other referendum.
No, that was the last long-term referendum. The last short-term referendum, we have slowly been returning the funds to capital reserve, but as you remember, that was a one-year referendum, so that was just capital reserve funds and the money that we got from the state. That was not long-term debt that we gave, you know, that we asked the taxpayers to approve.
Okay. Tara, did you?
No, I'm
Okay.
good, thank you.
So the health benefit waiver, I know we've already now kind of talked about that at length. But again, that's calculated. It's, the reason for the going above the 2% is due to that health benefit waiver that's available to districts for this year. Again, because we're having the state health benefit plan increase over 30% next year, our health benefit increases 20%, which again allows our tax levy increase to be over 2% to address that large increase in health benefits. And there are other adjustments that can be used in the budget, but none of them are available to us this year, just the health benefit adjustment. So total revenue comparison, the local tax levy, you can see the dollar change is 2.4 million. Other revenues, tuition and interest, that was a small reduction, but $120,000, again, just a decrease in anticipated interest and other tuition revenue. Our state aid, you can see this number is going down, and Brian made a good point via email today. This state aid number also includes X-aid, which is extraordinary aid. We've talked about that. That's every year. That is not guaranteed by the state. So we are assuming that we are receiving less next year because they, again, have been underfunding that each year. So although our state aid numbers that are guaranteed for next year are increasing by $17,000 and change, we are assuming $100,000 less in X-aid. So you're seeing that net number of $83,000. Our Medicaid reimbursement is related to SEMI. That's a mandatory program that we must participate in. These numbers are given to us by the state of what we can expect. Not a huge number, but it's an increase from last year. Budgeted fund balance is less than last year. Again, each year, it's going to be more difficult for us to generate fund balance, so we need to get used to reducing our reliance on that budgeted fund balance, because again, that's assuming that we're generating a surplus that we can carry forward into a future budget year, and that's going to become very difficult as we feel the squeeze of increased cost.
What is our historical budgeted fund balance? Like, has it been around that 5.5?
It has been more than that at times. So we've been trying to dig it down each year to again, get used to knowing that it's not going to be there over a course of time. But we can't take a huge hit in one budget year, so we're trying to do it over the course of several.
Is there a percentage that you know, is it almost like, you know, you're retired and you're 4%, kind of, you're pulling 4% out per year or something like that?
Right. I don't know the percentage of the budget off the top of my head, but yeah, we are trying to lower that to closer to like a 5%. I think the last time I looked, it was more like the 8.
Okay.
So again, look, going down the rest of the line, federal and state aid revenue and grants, we're expecting a decrease. We usually do conservative budgeting for any of our ESCA and IDA grant funds, so that's about 80% of what was received this year. Debt service, again, is fairly flat, small increase, but that's based on the debt service schedule or payment schedule that we have related to those capital projects. And the debt service aid from the state is their contribution towards those capital projects. So overall, total increase of approximately $9 million for the total budget. So,
quick question.
Go ahead.
So the budgeted fund balance excess surplus.
Right.
Can you just walk me through what exactly that is again?
So over the course of last budget year, which would be 24-25, the close of the audit, they determined how much is excess surplus, which is either unspent expenditures, appropriations, or additional revenues, which could be additional extraordinary aid, other revenue items that we weren't anticipating. So at the conclusion of that year, they determine what the excess surplus is that we can carry into a future budget year. Obviously, you can't carry from 24-25 directly into the next budget year because that budget has already been completed. So it's for the second budget year out. So 24-25 carries into 26-27's budget year.
Okay.
So you're relying on the fact that you have a prior year's surplus to balance your budget in a future budget year. So again, that's why it makes sense to lessen your reliance on assuming that those funds will be available.
So these are monies that are available to the district?
Correct.
Okay. So, yeah. So that's that, right. So essentially, it's at 5.2 million.
It's assuming that you can be fiscally responsible during an entire budget year and try to squeeze every last dollar out of that budget so that you can generate surplus so that you can fund your next budget cycle.
Okay, so said differently, worst case scenario, if that actually happens, you have $5.2 million of discretionary funds that you can tap into now, correct?
Discretionary funds that I can tap into.
Yes, like this is available, these are monies that are available to the district, correct?
Something catastrophic happens, we need $5 million, we have it.
Right.
Not even really that.
But it's allocated already, so
The
it's
budget was
allocated.
built this year.
Yeah, it's built with this
The budget was
number.
built this year with that number to start with. So it's not, what we expect to spend this year includes what we raised from tax revenue, what we got from state sources, and this amount.
This
Okay.
is already.
But
in
it's
this
still a
budget.
surplus.
Yeah, surplus, yeah.
I know we're not adding to it, but.
Yeah.
Right.
It's an old year's surplus,
Right,
that's
it's not-
already built into the budget, so it's not extra
Correct.
money, it's not anything we try.
Right.
Like, oh, sweet, we got extra 5 million.
No, I know that, I'm
It's
just
not
saying,
backing
yeah.
it.
Yes, and I guess catastrophic things, yes, that is sort of.
I know that's not how things work, I mean, we would
Yeah.
never, we would never have that, but.
And you also have to remember that's not, like, the budget that we're working in currently is 25-26. That's the school year that we're working in. These were funds generated from the last budget year. So each
Right.
year, we're gonna feel the effect of not being able to generate that much surplus each year because of the cost rising and the revenues not being fully funded by the state that we're used to receiving.
So I guess I'm just, so that, go back to Dan's point, so this is monies that are available to the district to use, or it's not?
At the conclusion of last year's audit, we set aside this money as, I guess the best way to say it's more like an equity account for the district. You know, it's like a balance sheet number that we know is set aside and restricted for your budget preparation for 26-27. It's not something that can be touched because it's already been allocated for a future budget year.
But I think, Rich, if I'm understanding your line of inquiry, and if I'm not, clarify, you're saying strategically looking ahead, is this money that you could be leveraging towards budgets, even though you'd be recognizing that you'd be drawing down sort of your reserve?
That's exactly
And
right.
you do it there's risk involved in drawing down reserve.
That's exactly right. I guess where I'm getting confused is that that's my understanding of it, but it's also what Rich mentioned, is that it's kind of baked into the
There's-
current budget, so
and
that's where
there's-
I'm getting a little confused.
And I guess also, like, the way fund accounting works is we have to balance a budget with revenues equaling appropriations. But you have to make sure you never go into a deficit, because I
Right,
can't let this
right.
district do that. So you have to, I don't want to say bake it, because I don't really enjoy that term, but, you know, you have to make sure there's contingencies in place in every single portion of your budget. And not to say that they're inappropriate, they're completely appropriate because you can't go into a deficit. You have to be able to justify those contingencies and make sure that they're appropriate so that you can have something at the end of the year. And again, God forbid if something broke in the building, I have money that I can transfer and fix a boiler,
This is
fix a
the-
plumbing issue.
This is the break glass in case of uber emergency
Right.
kind of thing.
And at the end of the year, if you have that surplus, great. Then we could use it in a future budget year, or we could put it in a capital reserve, which is what we intend to do.
And I think we're both trying to get to the same thing, but I think my understanding now is it's not like you have this money now. This is over the course of the year.
Correct,
This is what you're expecting to have at the end of the year.
correct.
Right.
Yeah, everything was budgeted correctly.
If
That's
everything
the
goes
be-
well.
if everything
we
goes
don't
the
have
way
any
it's
major
planned.
issues,
Correct, right. Okay, so it's not like it's sitting in the bank collecting interest, it would slowly build over the year as part of this.
As we're
Okay.
collecting.
That's what I was
So
misunderstanding.
that's where the confusion is. So it's not funds readily available to the district
It's-
now, it'll be throughout the course of the
potential.
year, should that catastrophe
Yeah.
not happen. It's a slow build.
Right.
Right.
One giant
That's- so we- yeah,
boiler
okay.
thing, and then you
And then
drain,
you're,
yeah, you don't have that money, you know, a giant
Yeah.
repair bill lowers that.
Stephen?
So then is it safe to say that the $235,000 change from 25, 26, 26, 27 was spent out of that excess surplus, and that's why it's less than, right? Because last year, because it rolls over kind of theoretically every other year, I get, but that's theoretically then what? Like it, well, no, maybe not,
we're
because it's gonna go
slowly,
to, it's
we're
gonna go
slowly
to
ticking
27,
down that
28,
number,
I
and we're
guess.
hoping that it doesn't.
Because it's like
Tragically
this
drop off.
egg in a sense, so it's always that amount, rather, we spent a little bit from it, and that's why it's less. Is that safe to say that that's the way to look at it, or not really?
That each year it's gonna be more difficult to generate as much.
Okay, then, okay.
It is, but it's a
My thing
prediction.
was not the right way to say it. All right, thank you.
So, to that point, I guess, looking at the 26, 27 numbers, if we didn't have that budgeted fund, that excess surplus, does that mean that 5.25 would have to come from tax levy?
And we can't raise tax levy any more than
Or
that
cuts.
$175,000 that we still have left, so it would be cuts.
But, okay, so theoretically, if we weren't able to raise taxes any further, we would have to find $5.25 million.
Or cut $5.25 million,
Yeah.
which is what some districts are facing right now.
Or even more than
And Kate, I don't mean to put you on the spot,
No, you're
but
fine.
Dan and Andrea?
the number from 25, 26. So we don't, that's not done yet, because the year's not done yet. So you don't
Oh,
know
you mean the
where,
number that we're able to generate, right? Until the school year is done and complete,
Then-
purchase orders are completed, then I can.
right. So that number may be a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower at the end of the year.
Right.
When the audit is done, that's what you're, okay.
Right.
And then that's what you plug in for the next year to kind of, okay.
Correct.
Got it.
Andrea?
And is there a max amount isn't there a max amount we can bank, either a percentage or a number? That
2% is the amount of surplus that you're allowed to keep as like a reserve, but this is kind of separate and aside, because this is used in a future budget.
And because this is something that I guess ultimately gets reconciled through the auditing process, I guess I'm trying to think back to when we had our auditor presentation. I'd imagine that's an item that they point to and say you're in a good place as far as this goes.
They do,
Yeah.
and they continue to say, it's great that you're able to generate the surplus, but try not to rely on it. Try to use it
Right.
for one-time things, but unfortunately, the situation that we're in, we're using it for recurring costs, and it's going to be more difficult to generate over time.
Is there a target percentage of the budget you want to see this number at going forward?
I'd like to see it closer to like the 2 or 3% of the total budget, but it's going to take time to get there.
What would that be?
Closer to $1 to $2 million.
Yeah.
More,
Not
okay.
70
The
million.
county
Okay.
office has said the same thing. When they look at our budget, it's try not to lean too heavily on this number. Try to reduce it down if you know that you're going to get a one-time revenue, but, unfortunately, we're not in that situation. So we'll try to reduce that over time.
But you're basically threading the needle on this between those two poles. Okay.
So I'm not going to talk too much about local taxes and how much is the expected tax bill. We'll really get into the meat of that at the public hearing, but I wanted to share at least just the worksheet that we have available to us right now, which is the regional tax share per municipality, so you can kind of see how each municipality has changed.
Can you just explain what each of those columns are
Sure.
as you do that?
So the equalized valuation of the municipality, we're given that number from the counties, from the municipalities. So they update that number every year based on the tax base in their municipality. So the function of this worksheet is to say how much is the municipality's share of regional taxes for our district. And that's a function of that change in their municipal ratables and also their high school enrollment. So I have that high school enrollment column. They base it on the 10, 15, 25 numbers, which is the ASSA snapshot date, which was last October. And then you see the share of the regional tax levy for last year. That was a function of last year's valuation of their municipality and also their regional high school enrollment for last year. And then how that compares to this year's regional tax levy. And then you see the difference column. So again, it's a factor of if they've had ratable changes and also their enrollment from their municipality to our district.
Andrea?
Why could there be a 0.5 on enrollment?
Because of shared time
Yeah,
students.
shared time students.
Yeah, so when we send a
Just
student,
checking.
I know, believe me, it's a good question.
It's a really small student.
Yeah. When we send a student to Polytech for a shared time program, they only get to count them as 0.5 on the ADS.
So, Stephen?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So just, again, one more time for me in the back. Equalized valuation, that is the total value of all.
The ratables in
Of
the
all the ratables
Assessed.
in each of those assessed ratables in the municipality. Enrollment is the number of kids coming from each of those municipalities, which then produces a percent of the whole that each municipality has constituted through the students they send. That changes each year, and that produces the difference that then where things nudge up or down regarding the taxation going back to each municipality.
Correct.
Okay.
Awesome. So if there's any municipalities that haven't been reassessed in a while, they're getting a discount.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would always be true for sure.
So what are the next steps? Tonight, we'll have the preliminary budget approval. That will give me the ability to take this budget, submit it to the county office, and get the executive county superintendent and business administrator to approve our preliminary budget in advance of the public hearing in April.
And what is it they're looking for in their approval process? Like,
They
what
have
do
the-
they vet and review?
It's a pretty long checklist that I go through to make sure that they have every document that they are looking for. So they're looking at different things in the actual budget software, but then they also look to see, do I have all the attachments, personnel roster, enrollment support, tuition send receive information. There's just several items that they ask for in addition to what they're saying in the budget to substantiate what's in there.
So it's the show your work part of the math problem.
Exactly.
So that'll be the work that I'll do this week to get it submitted timely and be ready for the public hearing and newspaper advertisements in April. And then after that, after the April 28th meeting, we'll certify the taxes and then implement the budget for July 1st. If there's any further questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So we're in the motion.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Rich, at the last meeting, you mentioned that you may come back today with maybe some favorable news on security front. Is there an update on that? I guess I would assume that if there was, it would have affected these numbers.
Yeah, but there is nothing that affect these numbers. And yeah, there's no updates. So what I said last week, we're still negotiating that and talking about it.
Okay.
So the cost could possibly come down, could possibly.
No, the cost is going to be what we put it in here. We're trying to get more bang for our buck. That's what it comes down to.
Okay.
Other questions? All right, we are in the motion, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion.
Yeah,
First and a
yeah,
second.
I know. Believe me, I want to thank everybody for a very lengthy conversation and discussion. I realize this is not easy for anyone. There's a lot of hard work here. And I don't want to lose sight of that. I think our questions and the communications help folks to understand sort of some of the unprecedented challenges that we have been facing, and the work of the administration to bring us in where they are and while simultaneously keeping us on a good footing going forward. There's no, as we learn more and more through our questions, there's sometimes more questions than answers when you get to the state level. But as far as trying to do our best to navigate sort of these challenges, some of the predictions, some of the volatility, it's the hard decision that we're asked to make each year in seeing this educational endeavor continue. For this, we have a roll call vote if there are no other questions, so we will proceed.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Hanley?
Yes.
Ms. Hens?
Yes.
Mr. Lordy?
Is this just 12-1?
Mr.
Yes.
Driscoll?
Just 12-1.
No.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Ms. Mezzacappa?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes? No. Mr. Spanton?
Yes.
Ms. Stein?
Yes.
And Mr. McIsaac?
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries.
All right. I just want to say thank you to the board. I know this is never easy. I know it's hard work. I know it's hard fought, and it is sort of the looking forward. It's very easy for a board to look at short-term thinking, and for those of us who might not be here in a couple of years, we're trying to make it easier for the folks ahead and the kids coming up. So I thank you for that as well. All right. Continuing under Finance, Facilities, and Transportation, can I get a call for a motion and second to approve agenda items 12.2 through 12.13? Can I get that motion? Dan, thank you. Can I get a second on that? Brian, thank you. Questions, clarifications? I believe, I know a lot of this was reviewed last week.
I think the only thing I can just point out some changes, the ratification of emergency facility repairs, I didn't have it attached last week, but that resolution is attached with the same dollar amount that I referenced at last week's meeting. I ended up pulling the contract with Honeywell, unfortunately, could not get that off the ground last week. Unfortunately, it's not on the agenda, but everything else I believe is the same, if you have any questions.
Questions, clarifications? Brian?
Is the Honeywell project still a possibility?
It's a possibility. I think right now, we'll just have to wait another month in order to get the board to approve. So we'll hope that the funding is still there.
Okay.
We're just hoping we're not late to the game to get the funding.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. We're trying to get.
Yeah, you got a lot of balls in the air right now.
Other questions or clarifications? Okay, we will move to a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Object or abstain?
I abstained from 12-11, but everything else I vote yes.
I will abstain from 12-4 and 12-5. I fully support the tuition contracts with Hunterdon County Vocational School District, but I've been getting some guidance that because of my employment at Central, the fact that there are students potentially shared in there, the recommendation is to abstain. But again, I support the work, I support the contracts, I certainly support the experience for the students.
Brandon, I'm a no on 12-11, 12-12, and 12-13.
Okay. All right, we're moving to, I'm sorry,
I'm a no
Cynthia.
on 12-11, 12-12, and that's it.
All right, we're moving to community relations and student affairs. We have a call for a motion and a second to approve agenda items 13-1 through 13-3. Can I get that motion? Nicole, thank you. Second, Andrea, thank you. Questions, clarifications?
I find all of these clubs fascinating. I think it's a wonderful thing that they're doing.
These are all
These
student-driven, and the ideas they come up with for clubs, sometimes, yeah, it's impressive.
I was reading through the bioethics description, and like, that's a lot of what I deal with at my job, and I've been there for 20 years, so the fact that there are high school students that want to talk about this stuff just blows my mind. So kudos to them. I think they're all three wonderful additions to the clubs.
That's good. Any other questions or clarifications? All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Yeah. Delegates reports. I don't know where we are.
Just on May, but the resolution deadline is come and gone, but,
Right.
and I'll be in attendance, but Stephen is going to be our representative going forward. I'm the alternate, but he can't make this one. And then just again, April 30th is our Hunterdon County, that's the last one of the year, and we'll be honoring the County Teacher of the Year and reviewing legislative and any other updates. And it'll be at the Chalet, so if you go onto your school board, you can register there. And they do dinner at 6, and then the presentation will start at 6:45.
Is there a deadline for registering?
No, but the sooner you do it, the better.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tara can sneak you in under the wire.
That's it,
She
right?
knows who's in charge.
Hunterdon County School Boards?
it's the last one for this year, yeah, so. And it's nice too, because as you go and as you do your training on school boards, there's different levels. There's certified school board member, master school board member, and then the highest level is certified school board leader, which I've attained, and we'll give out the awards at that meeting, so it's yeah, fun one.
Each thing that you attend gets you credits.
Yes,
towards that, right?
yep, and you can do, so much of it now is virtual, and I love going to the other county meetings and seeing what they're, what they're facing, and, I go to a lot of Essex County ones because I work in, the North Ward, Newark, so I like to see what my community is dealing with, so.
Okay. So that brings us to a call for a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 03-2426-2 for an executive session to discuss matters reflected in the attached resolution. The board expects to be in executive session for approximately, I don't know, about 45 minutes, but okay. I think we'll try and be briefer than that, and upon return to public session, action will be taken. Can I get a motion to go to executive? Moved Andrea, seconded Rich. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we are in executive. I'd like to call for a motion and second to reconvene public session. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Brian, thank you. And a second, I think I saw Merrill on
Yeah.
that? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain? No? Can I get a call for a motion and second to approve agenda items 17.1 to 17.3 and to include hand carries if provided? Can I get that motion?
So moved.
Motion? Nicole, could I get that second?
Second.
Brian, thank you. Roll call vote. Or we go right to roll call vote, right? Yeah, roll call vote, sorry. Yep.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Hanley?
Abstain from 17-1, yes on the rest.
Ms. Hibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Lordy?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Ms. Mezzacappa?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
Mr. Spanton?
Yes, I have to abstain from 17.2, 17.3.
Ms. Stein?
Yes.
And Mr. McIsaac?
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries.
Brings us to old and new business. Cynthia, did you have something?
Yes, I'd like to change my vote for 11.11 from yes to no.
From yes to no?
Yes, correct. I had yes.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Additional old and new business. Meryl, if you're comfortable, I know you had shared some clarifications from the training that you went to as far as the HIB reporting procedures.
Sure. So it's in the joint email that we all share, but I just finished the governance one the other night. And the topic of HIB was covered, pertinent really to what we were all grappling with. And the attorney who presented said that we should be receiving from the superintendent a summary report on the district's HIB findings. Summary, just ticking off the elements of, let's say, the HIB statute and minimally how those findings, how the facts satisfy the HIB statute. And from that, the board will affirm, modify, or I guess the term is reject. Thereafter, if it happens thereafter, because this hearing that we've all experienced, there is actually an opportunity for a hearing to be held before the board makes that finding. But in many situations, because of the way the flow of the work, those hearings come after the finding. And the hearing takes place in executive session in the fashion that I think we've now experienced. And again, after the hearing, the board is called upon to affirm, modify, or reject. And it seems awkward to some of us that we're being called to do that again because we already made that decision based on the superintendent's summary report. But it's actually the way it works, and it's actually commonplace, where you're going to have to do it twice if there's a hearing. But both findings suggest substantive action from the board, not we are affirming the process. And I'll own that because I was trying to understand what was going on, and I think at one point I used that word. That's not correct. We are in fact making some sort of a substantive finding, albeit on a summary report from the superintendent. An appeal isn't really what we're doing. An appeal gets made to the Department of Education, probably with most frequency after a hearing is held. So that's not our role. That's somebody else who has to decide that. What I wasn't it may have eluded me in my short time on the board. I don't know if we're getting that summary report from the superintendent, or if we're just getting, there was a HIB, and it was substantiated. I'm asking the board to affirm that finding, or there was a HIB and it was denied. I'm asking the board to substantiate that finding, but probably some of you can speak
Well,
to
I
that.
feel like there's been maybe some different versions.
There have been different
Yeah.
versions of it, and we do have a spreadsheet right now which gives some summary information. And what I can do is I can make sure that's in my report at the end of the week so everyone knows where that's at. And then if the board wants more information on that, we can gather more information. So.
Yeah, I think the point wasn't to be jumping in and making the finding
Right.
anew in the shoes of the administration, but it was just to make sure that we had enough information that tracked with the elements of the HIB statute,
Right.
where the district is justifying its determination based upon what the law requires it to find.
And I can't remember if the version that I thought I remembered would indicate, like, was it like the characteristic, or what was the basis of the, the three?
Check these boxes.
Right, something like that. Like it doesn't, or does, right.
Yeah,
But I don't remember it well enough.
I think the report that we used to actually use was one that was generated from our HIB system, and I think it did have all those check boxes on it.
Okay.
So I'd have to look and see what we have in a spreadsheet. Now, I thought we transferred all that information over to the spreadsheet, but I'll check it to make sure.
Right, but I don't know, like with the hipster reports, that's not where you're like redacting stuff out of it. It's just truly, it met these boxes, or
We
it's
would
just
usually
like
have to
a
redact it
one
anyway because
sentence
it would have
kind of.
names on it, but.
Got it.
But either way.
Okay.
Hipster, we can see if they have a different report too, that would run all that information just by, case number.
Okay.
There's no information that needs to be
It's,
redacted.
Summary. Brian?
I'll just make sure everyone knows, in the shared drive, there is under BOE resource materials, there is a folder called HIB. Under that, you can track down by date and find that sentence summary of the incident.
Okay.
But is that still in
Like I
use,
said,
is my question?
Yeah,
Still what?
Is that still in use? In other words, is that current? Or is that the one?
February 26th,
Okay.
entry for February 26th.
Yeah, we do update that.
Okay.
But what I'll do is I'll share that with everyone in my update, just so that it's a fresh link, so everyone can take a look at it.
Thank you.
And then,
Okay.
that way everybody has the information we currently have, and then if we want to make some changes, we can. So.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Meryl. Anything else under old and new business? Stephen?
I think, from today with the budget stuff, I think we should really consider, I know we missed this one for the May Delegates Assembly for NJSBA and the legislature, trying to adopt other districts' resolutions to suggest to the NJ Department of Education, but I think we should, in light of the atmosphere around the budget statewide, we should work towards adopting a resolution to put forwards at the next Delegates Assembly for the NJSBA presentation to get considered to be brought to the whole state.
I think that's a great idea.
Just think that we should keep that in the back of our heads and
Okay.
plan for that in our meetings to see where and how that comes through. I don't know how that happens, but I'm new, so guidance for everyone else, but I think we should really come up with something.
I don't disagree. I feel like I raised that point last year, that some of these things are just fundamentally stacked against us, putting us in an impossible situation. So I'm certainly in favor and, happy to help out with whatever sort of language or ideas we would want to pull together. Meryl?
I think I heard, maybe it was Tara, talking about if we were to do that, the ability to do that in conjunction with other boards, so that we might get heard.
A little stronger.
I can ask that question Thursday night with our roundtable attendees as a local footprint conversation, and then certainly Tara at the county level or
Right.
multi-county might be an
Yeah, I
opportunity
think
to
we
see.
could get a good support from Hunterdon County all the high schools and
least ascending districts.
ascending districts, yeah.
And I think that it could, a letter independently, but also conglomerately from everyone around would both be, you can get, just so, hey, we're saying this, I think it could be a louder voice, even though everyone's joining together, you're also independently stating the same facts. And
Right.
if everyone else maybe gets on board with those facts from these group discussions, to have the same almost resolution to push forward, then there's no arguing anything, that, everyone is like, with our hands up, like, what do you mean? We just have to accept 20-40% in healthcare, and that's just too bad. And, there's a lot with that. It's just insane to me. So I think, yeah.
Okay. Mer,
I think Mr. Lordy sent us one.
a model of one that another
Right.
district.
Yeah,
Right, so maybe that's, like, do we like that language? Is that what we want to
Yeah, I think we
encourage
can.
Look at that and
others
see
to
if
do?
there's
We
more
can
to
start
add.
with looking at something like that. I don't recall, and Rich, I don't know if you recall, I mean, there were some details in there. I don't know if it spoke to things like the funding formula. I don't know if it spoke to things like
Not
the
totally,
healthcare
but-
spikes.
Things about the chapter 44
Correct.
and abolishing that and looking for something better. It was a little vague, but just saying, hey, these things should be looked at. Maybe it's that, maybe it's tuning it more to be a little more aggressive, so to say, or honed in to actual pressure points.
Right.
But
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Change of subject.
Okay.
The Thursday roundtable,
Yeah.
is that something that other board members could attend as well?
Well, by design, it was always a board leadership roundtable so that the president, vice president were sort of the liaisons to it. I don't know, based on who's slated to attend, if it's strictly that. I think it would be strictly that unless somebody was coming in lieu of. But I mean, I could certainly broach that going forward. What it used to be was this group would meet 3 to 4 times a year. And collaboratively try to problem solve or share best practices and ideas of that sort. I think it was initially president, vice president, just to keep the numbers manageable, that you have, all these sending districts coming together. And because this is the first one of revitalizing it, we'll see who we get, and hopefully word gets out, and if we have this one, we could be potentially scheduling another one before the end of the year, or at the end of the year, and where the conversation would go forward. At this point, though, I wouldn't want to, because the messaging didn't go out as, come one, come all, that we'll just see from there and go.
Plus with smaller boards, you could run into quorum issues.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's
say,
true.
like,
That's
if
true.
we all wanted to,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be,
We'd have 13 boards having a meeting.
Exactly.
Simultaneously, particularly if they can sign on to something that pushes back about fairer funding or healthcare expenses. Was that, anything else under old or new business? So I am hearing, let's begin maybe with some thinking about and drafting some language, using that as a model, so certainly we could move in that direction and begin to kind of workshop something that we share to see if it's hitting the notes that we want to hit, and kind of go from there and see what communication we can get out to other boards. That would be great. The last things it's really more just a question, not even much old new business. I guess as we're maintaining sort of our communications, the presentations, including tonight's presentation, our ability to put as much information on the website as we can, and in any sort of district communication, sort of be signaling to say, hey, watch these meetings, hear these conversations, look at these reports, so that you can kind of understand what we're working with. I had even mentioned to Dr. Burgess, with some of the AI tools out there, I actually tried this tonight. Using one of the AI tools, I was able to put in, based on this is the town I live in, this is my approximate house value, what would be my tax increase? And it can actually kind of do that stuff. We could put the information in there that is all of our, budgetary information, and sort of almost be like one of those online tax calculators for you. Again, not not swearing by it, but helping people navigate these very complex documents in a way that people can access it and say, what does this actually mean for me? Especially because as we learn about it, you learn that your tax bill is, there's a portion of it that is the regional district, I think, and it differs by municipality. Where my municipality, it might be about 1/4 of my tax bill is the regional district. 2/4 are my K-8 district, and the remaining quarter is the municipal and county, and there's your little sliver for the library and those kinds of things. And I realize right now, all of our constituents are dealing not just with us, they're dealing with their K-8 also. So anything that sort of helps them understand, what portion goes to what, and if North is seeing a 4.2% increase, what does that mean on that portion of your tax bill? I think anything that can give clarity and ease and understanding can only be a benefit to the community. So that was just one thought, potentially going forward.
I would like, I guess, new business, but old business. When we adopted the strategic plan, and I did a Google, there's a few districts that have a dashboard. And we had maybe thought about the idea of some of the IT students and developing that. Do you think they'll be able to do something like that? Because that would be, the tax levy would be, our financials would be a big part of the.
I'm hoping actually, this, like a tool like this that we're talking about, this AI tool that has specific resources, will actually create that data for you instead of
Like
just
an
populating that
infographic.
data.
Yeah, I love it, yeah.
It actually, it has some really nice
Yeah.
tools in it that I think will make
Yeah.
it easier for you.
That would be great, yeah.
And then I don't know what communications we continue to have. I know we have some of these things hosted on our website right now. But if we can communicate to people, like, it's there, and we want to help you find it so that you're not, navigating through and trying to find your way there. But hey, here it is. We want to be clear and transparent with the community. This is where you can go. This is where you can find information. This is where you can ask some of those questions. And with some of those notebooks, I mean, you can just start in a very innocent place, like, I don't understand school budgets, explain how they work, and it will walk you through that.
Yeah.
And it does a great job breaking it out by municipality, the levies, the different portions of the levies, and so that's some good potential.
Brandon, I'm surprised the clerk, the county doesn't have that tool built in on their website.
Well, I mean, some of it, I think, is just so new and evolving in terms of it, and it's the sort of thing, and I'll give you a big cheat right now, like, on your screen right now, you have a little button in your upper right-hand corner, it says Ask Gemini.
Yeah.
If you activate that, you can ask questions of whatever document you have on the screen. That's where I started testing it out with this budget presentation. It just opens that, and I start having a conversation, and that can get you to some very good information very quickly. And of course, age of AI, it's all new. You go back and you check the math. Are those numbers that are actually matching? But I think it has an ability to explain, and because it's natural language querying, you start with where you are. Like I'm like a high school kid trying to understand a budget. Explain it to me in terms that I can understand. I don't know if it can explain the funding formula that we were talking about before. That might be the first test I want to give it and see where that goes. But yeah, there's definitely potential.
Just as an answer.
Anything else on old and new business?
This is the one thing I have is, I guess, shout out to G, because some of the work
Saw
that we saw from the refresh of the website looked excellent.
Mhm.
I thought it was very clean,
Yeah.
very user-friendly, very modern. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's long overdue, and I would like to see the .net go away, but
What do you want, .lordy?
hey, I'll take it. I don't love that, but if it seems like it's too much of a heavy lift, because a lot of schools are either .org or
I think EDU. EDU is for colleges.
colleges, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of them do
A lot of them have transitioned to orgs. Yeah, there have been a lot of transitions.
But from what I've seen, the work was great.
Yeah, that's good, yeah, agreed.
And I don't know, Tara, I mean, maybe to your point, I don't, like, right now, you go there, it says District Board of Ed, and you would have to know to go there to find the budget. I don't know if there's certain times in certain seasons where it's like, hey, easy budget button right here, like, come learn. Yep.
We can
push the
put
button.
communications out too, and add it to newsletters. and
Okay.
people- We get used to,
Yeah.
that being part of it too.
All right.
Maybe, Brendan, if the communication that goes out or newsletters, you planning to put that presentation in there? Is that the plan?
Or direct that to,
Or
yeah,
the link
direct
to
to,
it,
to
whatever.
that site where all the
Yeah.
presentations
Yeah.
are. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that'll be helpful.
okay. All right, if there's nothing else, can I get a call for a motion and second to adjourn? Can I get a motion? Okay, Andrea, second? Cole, yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
I know. Well, I almost got hung up that the motion was taking a while. It's like, do we want to keep going?
I don't think we're